Srila Parisishvara ki Shri Jagannath Baladev Shrimati Subhadra Devi ki Shri Nitai Sachi Sutta ki Srila Prabhupada ki Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Or just a cushion otherwise. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna. No, it's okay. I'll put it on my hand. So today we're going to read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 12, from verse 21 to where's the next purpose? 27, 21 to 27. Maybe we can do the repeat of this one. Nana bhavokama dehe adbhuta naptana Dui goshani hari bole anandita mana.
You want to repeat? There is no purpose.
Yeah, there's no purpose.
So usually we repeat the one who's got.
Yeah.
Up to you. But...
Right, into the translation. While Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Advaita danced and chanted the Hare Krishna mantra, there were various ecstatic symptoms in their bodies, and their minds were very pleased. Nachite nachit Gopala haila murchita Gumete padila dehenaika samvita. While all of them danced, Gopala, dancing and dancing, fainted and fell to the ground unconscious. Dukhita haila charya putra kolenala rakshakare nishimera mantrapadiya. Advaita Acharya Prabhu became very unhappy. Taking his son on his lap, he began to chant the Nrsimha mantra for his protection. Nana mantra padena acharya nahaya chetana acharyera dukhe vaishnava karena krandana. Advaita Acharya chanted various mantras, but Gopala did not come to consciousness. Thus, all the Vaishnavas present cried in sorrow at his plight. Tabe Mahaprabhu Tandrarite Hastadari Utana Gopala Kaila Bala Hari Hari. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then put his hand on the chest of Gopal and told him, "My dear Gopal, get up and chant the holy name of the Lord." Udhila Gopala Prabhuras Parshadva Nishuni Anandita Hanasa Bekare Haridvani. When he heard this sound and felt the touch of the Lord, Gopal immediately got up, and all the Vaishnavas chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in jubilation. Acharya Araputra Sri Balaram Araputra Swarupa Saka Jagadishanam. Translation. The other sons of Advaita Acharya were Sri Balaram, Swarup and Jagadish. Purport. By His Divine Grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Sanskrit book Advaita Charita states that Balaram, Swarup and Jagadish were the fourth, fifth and sixth son of Advaita Acharya. Therefore, Sri Advaita Acharya had 6 sons, Balaram, Swarup and Jagadish being Smartas or Mayavadis, were rejected by Vaishnava society. Sometimes Mayavadis pose themselves as Vaishnavas or worshipper of Lord Vishnu, but actually they do not believe in Lord Vishnu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for they consider demigods like Lord Shiva, Durga, the Sun God, and Ganesh equal to him. They are generally known as Panchopashaka Smartas, and one should not count them amongst the Vaishnava. Balaram had 3 wives and 9 sons. The youngest son of his first wife was known as Madhusudan Goswami. He took the title Bhattacharya and accepted the path of the Smarta or Mayavadis philosophy. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur notes that the son of Goswami Bhattacharya, Sri Radharaman Goswami Bhattacharya, refused the title Goswami because it is generally meant for sannyasi, those who have taken the renounced order of life. One who is still in family life should not misuse the title Goswami. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did not recognize the caste Goswami because they were not in the line of the 6 Goswamis in the renounced order who were direct disciples of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Bhatta Raghunath Goswami, Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur states that the Grihastha ashram, or the status of family life, is a sort of concession for sense gratification. Therefore, a Grihastha should not falsely adopt the title Goswami. The ISKCON movement has never conferred the title Goswami upon a householder. Although all the sannyasis we have initiated in ISKCON are young, we have awarded them the titles of the renounced order of life, Swami and Goswami, because they have completely dedicated their lives to preach the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions that not only do the householder caste Goswami disrespect the title Goswami, but also following the principles of the Smarta Raghunandana, they exhibit great foolishness by burning a straw image of Advaita Acharya in a Shraddha ceremony, thus acting as Rakshasas and disrespecting the cause of Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is the guide for Vaishnava. Shri Radha Parisishwar ki jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Shrimati Subhadra Devi ki jai, Shri Nitya Satyaswara ki jai. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that sometimes these Smarta caste Goswami write books on Vaishnava philosophy or commentaries on the original scriptures, but a pure devotee should cautiously avoid reading them. Om Ganati Minandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manodistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Buddha Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsta Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Rupam Sagaratam Sagana Ragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorambi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Prashatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam, Karunaste, Vanaste, Ragatiranyata. Hare Krishna. Okay, we have changed topics to a little bit less ecstatic side of this chapter, which are the other sons of Advaita Acharya, Shri Balaram, Swarup and Jagadish. We'll just do a short summary. So Advaita Acharya had 6 sons. The 3 first one were devotees of Lord Chaitanya practicing bhakti, and the 3 others they were not devotees. We have only one verse for all 3 of them, while we spend lots of time on Achyutananda, Gopala. So here Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is describing really the difference between the Goswami caste and the real Goswamis. This was one of his battle to go against those who claim to be Goswamis or Bhattacharyas just by birth and not really following the principles. And that was one of the things that he was really against, and that Prabhupada then established furthermore by initiating devotees, basically outside of the caste system, considered as mlechas, those who are born outside India are supposed to be outside of the Varnashrama system. So they're lower than Shudra, Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, and Brahmanas. Anyway, in Kali Yuga, everybody is less than Shudra, so there's no point on conserving those titles. Nowadays, we see lots of people, even up to now, people are claiming, oh yes, I'm Goswami, I'm Bhattacharya, I'm this, I'm that, but then don't follow any of the rules. They're just chewing tobaccos, smoking bidis outside the temple, drinking alcohol maybe, doing some frivolous activities maybe with some ladies, basically not being Vaishnavas. So Prabhupada is stating really very clearly that for instance, Grihastha, they should not claim to be Goswamis or Swamis. What does it mean? It means to be master of the senses. And by definition, Grihastha ashram is some concession on that they can do some extra thing, have more comfort, and thus not being so much master of the senses. At least on the paper, we can see that many Grihasthas were, on very highly elevated platforms, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, basically. And Srila Prabhupada, when he was Grihastha, he was still always on a transcendental level. So Srila Prabhupada warned us against that, and trying to reestablished that Varnashrama system is actually based on the quality of the person and not on the birth. This is how the caste system has degraded in India, and that everybody has a bad image. Even in Western countries, they still think, oh, the caste system, you are so discriminating. You have all these stories about untouchable. Do you call that in English as well? Right? People you're not supposed to touch, right? All those are like lower caste, taking care of, cleaning in the streets, taking care of the crematoriums and things like that. That you should avoid them, not touch them. This has really a strong image in Western country. At least in France, many people think that this is Vedic culture, which is not. This is just a degradation brought by Kali Yuga, that this caste system, which was supposed to be on quality, has turned into birthright. And this was something also present here in Western countries. When you were of a high noble class and you were born as a noble, you would inherit the wealth and the title. And same on different, let's say, families. If you were a merchant, you were born in a merchant family, you had to take over the family business and thus continue this disciplic succession, which was not the case. It was based on the quality, and this is one of the things that Narottama Thakur, who is his appearance day today, also embodied. He was not a Brahmana, he was a Kayastha. So basically, Shudras, they're doing some rulings over some kingdoms, but they're not really like proper kings, kshatriyas. They were more like Shudras. And Narottama Thakur proved that, no matter what is your birth, actually, you can become a pure devotee. And we can link also that to the previous verses. I think maybe Acharya Prabhu we discussed in length yesterday, Gundicha Marjanam, with all the ecstatic symptoms. But this is something that would happen a lot in Gora Lila. People would faint or even leave their body, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would bring them back to life just by the touch of his hand or by the chanting of the holy name. Here we had Gopala, the son of Advaita Acharya, but we had that with one nephew of Srivasacharya as well. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would perform all his kirtan, and one time there was like a nephew of Srivas Pandit who left his body, and all the ladies were mourning, sulking on a corner during the kirtan, and Srivas, he came, he said, "What are you doing? You're disturbing the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the kirtan." And when he came back to the kirtan, after a while, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "I'm feeling something is not right. What is happening?" He said, "Oh, no, it's just my nephew, he left his body." And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Wow, you're such, so dedicated that you even didn't mourn your departed." Sometimes they say son, but it's the same, in the Vedic culture, there's no difference between cousins and brothers, or if you have a nephew, it's like your son. They all live all together. You say of your departed son, and you were still trying to maintain the mood. And he gave blessings to Srivas Acharya that even if the goddess of fortune, is begging on the street, you will never have any scarcity of food or anything. And actually what he did, he resurrected the departed son. And he just touched him and did the same as Gopal. He said, rise, chant, dance, chant the holy name. And just started dancing and chanting. But there, he was like really, he left his body. Here, Gopal, he fainted. And he brought him back. We had the same with, I think, Amoga had the same. The son-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was very critical of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very envious. So he contracted leprosy, or maybe it was leprosy or cholera, one of those two. Something like very strong, and he died, like really in the following days. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the same. He touched his body, which was really degraded, and he resurrected him. He said, Amoga, just give up this envy, which is a poison destroying your spiritual life. Just leave it and just chant the name of the Lord. And then suddenly he rose and he started dancing and chanting Hari, Hari, Hari. And this is something we see a lot in the life of Narottama Das Thakur. His life is in one sense of fainting and coming back. Many things happens in his life. He is really a pure devotee. He has a life where every time he would hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, about Nityananda Mahaprabhu, he would faint. And then he would come back to life, hearing the holy name, coming back to his senses. Hearing about the Goswami, he would faint. Hearing about the Lord, he would faint and come back. Like when he arrives next to Vrindavan, he sees the Yamuna, he faints, and then he comes back. Because he was overwhelmed by the feeling, by transcendental ecstasy. So this is one example we see in Narottama Das Thakur's life. One other thing we see is, as I was stating, that he proves that no matter what is your birth, you can make it to pure transcendental level and become a pure devotee. Because Narottama Das Thakur, he was a pure devotee. He was always chanting the holy name and preaching the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was empowered, and like literally he received the power of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his prem. I don't know if you know this book, The Glorious Life of Srila Narottama Das Thakur. Very, very wonderful book, like really filled with lots of emotions and really lots of feelings. If you allow me, we can read a little bit of it. It is linked to the appearance of Narottama Das Thakur. It's just the premises, how Narottama gets all these prema from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's one of the best books I've read as well. It's really full of transcendental leelas. Chapter 1, Lord Chaitanya's prediction. Chattering monkeys scampered through the trees, gawking curiously at the group of bright-faced devotees jubilantly singing the Lord's holy names. The kirtan party slowly wounds its way through the lush green countryside, their sweet melodious chanting echoing through the thick canopy of palms and coconut trees. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Losing themselves in the joy of the kirtan, the devotees chanted with full absorption, their voices brimming with devotion. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced in the center of the devotees, his radiant golden body swaying gracefully to the beats of the pulsating drums. As they walked, the mridanga players quickened the beat. The brass kartals chimed in time, flashing in the morning sunlight. Powerful waves of ecstasy surged through the kirtan party as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu raised his long, graceful arms and leapt into the air. The devotees surrounded him, dancing with wild abandon, their bare feet pounding the soft ground, raising clouds of dust. Suddenly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stopped dancing. Standing motionless, he stared intently into the distance and fervently called, Narottam! Narottam! His body trembled, and tears poured from his eyes with uncontrollable forces. Overwhelmed with ecstatic love, he grabbed onto Nityananda Prabhu's for support, but then collapsed to the ground and rolled into dust, crying again and again, Narottam! Narottam! Bewildered by the Lord's sudden outburst, the devotees stopped singing, glancing at each other with uncertainty. They gathered around the Lord and softly sang the holy names, waiting for his ecstatic trance to abate. Kneeling, Sri Nityananda Prabhu whispered sweet pacifying words into the Lord's ear. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, simply threw his arms around Nityananda Prabhu's neck and continued to cry. Worried, Sri Nityananda Prabhu turned to Varkeshwar and Haridas. I've never seen him shed such profuse tears. Hoping to revive the Lord, Varkeshwar led the devotees in loudly chanting the names of Lord Jagannath. Hearing this, the Lord regained his composure. Again, like in the purple. Hearing this, the Lord regained his composure. Sitting up, he wiped the tears from his eyes and motioned to Nityananda Prabhu to come closer. Nitai, he whispered, you know that Sankirtana is everything to me. It is my very life. I want everyone in this world to taste the nectar of the holy name. But soon, you and I will leave this world. Who will spread this chanting after we are gone? Who will keep the flame of love I have brought into the world burning? Before I leave, I must empower someone to carry on this wonderful Sankirtan movement. I have such a wealth of love of God, and I must leave it with someone. But who is qualified to inherit such riches? My Lord, said Nityananda softly, you know everything. Only you can answer that question. Is there anyone capable of carrying on your mission? Who is worthy of inheriting your love? Yes, Nitai, there is someone. His name is Narottam. Narottam? Nityananda Prabhu asked. Who is Narottam? Just a few minutes ago, you were calling his names and crying so hard. I feared for your life. But I don't know of anyone named Narottam among your associates. Narottam has not yet appeared in this world, the Lord replied. But soon he will take birth, nearby on the other side of the Padmavati river, in the town of Keturi. Narottam will be such a wonderful devotee that every word coming from his mouth will be filled with love of God. And anyone who sings his praises will certainly attain love of God. If I leave my love with him, it is certain that the nectarian ocean of Sankirtana will continue to flood the universe. Puzzled, Nityananda inquired, but if Narottam has not yet been born, how will you give him your love? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled. Tomorrow, I will enter the Padmavati river and deposit my love for Narottam to receive in the future. At the appropriate time, you must guide Narottam to the river bank to collect the divine treasure that awaits him. The Lord then stood and resumed his chanting. That evening, the devotees spoke they spoke among themselves in hushed voices. Who is this Narottama? The Lord called for. No one except Nityananda Prabhu could answer, but he remained silent. The following morning, the kirtan party moved slowly along the sandy footpath, chanting and dancing as they sang the holy names. As they reached a clearing in the trees, the deep blue of the Padmavati river came into view. At the river bank, Nityananda Prabhu turned to the devotees and stopped the kirtan. Watch carefully, he said. Something extraordinary is about to take place. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to place his divine love into the Padmavati river. Sometime in the future, this love will be given to a devotee named Narottama. The devotees watched curiously as Sri Chaitanya stepped with his lotus feet into the water and slowly waded toward the river's center. To their amazement, the placid river swelled with joy. Transformed by the Lord's touch, the water appeared to dance in glee, swirling and gurgling as it rose higher and higher. Within moments, the river overflowed with ecstasy, spilling over its banks and gushing into the land. All at once, an extraordinarily beautiful woman rose from the waves. She stood before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with folded palms. Her silken garments shimmered in the breeze, and her jeweled crown sparkled in the morning sunlight. She asked humbly, "My Lord, how can I serve you?" "O goddess of this river, Padmavati Devi," Mahaprabhu said, "I want to leave my transcendental property in your care. Please take my love and keep it with you until a devotee named Narottama bathes here. At that time, deliver this love to him." "Yes, my lord," she replied submissively, "but how will I recognize Narottama?" "When a young, dark-complexioned boy who is filled with love of God enters your waters, causing them to surge and flood the land as they did it today, you will know that is Narottama." "But, my lord," she asked, "if this boy has so much devotion that his touch will cause me to overflow with ecstasy even before he has received your divine treasure, what will his condition be after receiving your love?" "Don't worry," the Lord interrupted. "Narottama will sustain my love. When he comes, simply give him my love." Quivering with joy, Padmavati Devi received Mahaprabhu's love, offered her obeisances, and disappeared into the receding waters. The devotees who observed this exchange stood transfixed, mouths agape, and eyes wide with astonishment. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu turned to them and said calmly, "Begin kirtan." News of this miraculous incident quickly spread throughout the land. Devotees everywhere waited eagerly for Narottama's appearance, each of them hoping for the opportunity to meet such a special devotee. Narottama Das Thakur ki jai. So Narottama Das Thakur, he had one of his, life. He was very happy, but also filled, with lots of sorrows, mellows of separation. He was always, in this deep mood of being like so close. He missed, the Lord just by a few years. Every time he would think about the Lord, he would be like so sad, overwhelmed by this emotion of being unfortunate to have the association of the Lord because he came too late. Sometimes we can also feel that way. Many devotees, they're like, "Oh, I wish that I was there during Prabhupada's time, and just a few years we missed, here we have several senior devotees also. We just came to the Krishna consciousness like in 77 or 78. They just missed Prabhupada by a bit, and they're like, into this sorrow that I could have met Prabhupada, but I didn't. And they lament, and such a life of lamentation is the life of Narottama Das Thakur. But it was made like even sweeter, because by missing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, actually he had them constantly in his mind, in his heart. He was always thinking of them, chanting about them. Today we didn't chant Janailo Premadana, Karuna Prachur, because usually we chant it for the departure of Vaishnava saints. But today is the appearance day of Narottama Das Thakur. So we were into a more jolly mood. Although for us, in our tradition, the appearance day is actually more significant. Why? Because you don't really know when someone appears what he will do. But when they depart this world, we know all their achievements. And we know how glorious they are. And this is something that we celebrate. And also we know that they went back to Godhead. So this is like a glorious day, We celebrate the day they are reunited with their Lordship. And the day they appear, they come into this material world. Although they are never, influenced by Maya, by Mahamaya, and they're always in a transcendental platform. So they're always in contact with Krishna. But Narottama Das Thakur, as you see, he was already in such deep ecstasy. And when he was born, it was always like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He would cry, and only the name of the Lord would pacify him. And the astrologer, he made like some kind of prediction for him to his parents. He said, either this man will become a great king, so take over what Krishnananda Maharaj or Krishnananda Datta would do, his kingdom of Keturi, or he would become a mendicant. So, when you're a parent, you're thinking, okay, either my son will take over my business, will become a king and take care of the kingdom, or he will become a mendicant. Usually you choose, the best situation for him, thinking that, mendicant is not such a good position. But actually, in our Krishna consciousness, this is the best, because we are beggars. We beg for everything. Narottama Das Thakur, he would practice Madhukari. He wouldn't eat, what he was brought. He would beg. Even when he was a prince, he would go and beg for his food. And here we beg always for the mercy of the Vaishnava. We beg for the mercy of the Lord. We are beggars. Here we are always begging others, please give us some donation so we can serve the Lordship nicely. Beg forgiveness for all the offenses we are committing. We are beggars, transcendental beggars. And Narottama Das Thakur, he was like that. But his parents, they didn't want him to do that. The astrologer said, don't let him approach any kind of river. They were thinking, maybe he would drown. They didn't get the exact reason. They just said, the astrologer just said, it's very dangerous for him. His life will be over. And it is true. Which life will be over? His material life. Because as soon as he managed somehow or other to escape, it's a big adventure. It's a little bit like Raghunath Das Goswami. Very similar pastimes, like very wealthy, protected by his family. He was always trying to escape to go to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Narottama Das, one day he managed to escape because he saw in a dream Nityananda Prabhu. That's the thing that we were reading when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gives the instruction to Nityananda, please you guide Narottama to get this prema. But how? Nityananda, he wasn't there anymore either. So he came in his dream and he said, please go to the Padmavati and take your bath over there. It's a sacred river as well. So somehow or other, Narottama Das, he managed to escape and he went into the water and same thing happened. The water overflowed and the divine prema entered the body of Narottama Das Thakur. And from dark complexion, he turned golden. He assumed the hue of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He got his prema, and it was, although he was able to contain it and sustain it, it was very difficult. He would always faint every time he would hear. This was already the case before, but now it was like even more expressed. And he couldn't contain this. He would chant always. He had this need to be reunited with the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Those who were still here were the Goswamis. He went to see the Goswamis, but unfortunately, some of them departed. He was like, it's like very sad and happy story how he travels to Vrindavan when he managed to escape. He travels barefoot. Just to remember, he's a prince. He just travels barefoot with nothing under scorching heat, goes through the forest. He has like thorny bushes, like his feet are destroyed. His body is burnt by the sun. He is not eating, not drinking. He's just like traveling, constantly sustaining on the strength of the holy name. The holy name is like very powerful. It has everything in it. Nam Nam Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktish. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, all his transcendental mystic powers are contained in his many names. And Narottama, he would just chant and travel to Vrindavan. But then, unfortunately, he hears that Rupa Goswami has already departed and he faints again. Then he comes back and he's given another news that Srila Sanatan also departed. Faints again. But he still has some hope. It's that Jiva Goswami is still here. Jiva Goswami is still here, and also Lokanath Goswami was very, very close to the Goswami. Sometimes it's called the seventh Goswami. There's a book called The Seven Goswamis about Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but at that time he was like really very close associates, and he ended up being the spiritual master of Narottama Das Thakur. It is also very long how he demonstrates how to be dedicated and determined to get the mercy of one's spiritual master. Lokanath Goswami would not accept any disciples, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he intervenes. He comes in his dream and said, "Come on, do it, please, for me." I'm just paraphrasing, but he accepts Narottama Das Thakur, and it is a very joyful event. It's like the accomplishment of his life. He's finally getting the mercy of the lotus feet of Lokanath Goswami. So Narottama Das, he puts all his knowledge, all the transcendental teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu into songs. Because people were degrading in intelligence already. What people like to do, they like to chant, dance, feast. And this is Krishna consciousness also. But we do it in a transcendental way. We chant for the Lord, the holy names. We dance for the Lord on the holy names. And we feast with Krishna Prasada. So Narottama Das Thakur, if you read all the translations of his songs, is deeply packed with philosophy. It's packed with philosophy and it's condensed, and all his feelings are into those songs. And when we chant them, actually we're in connection with Narottama Das Thakur. And when we praise him, we get little drops of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's divine love. He's a pure devotee. He's in the disciplic succession. So all the persons at that time, it was still oral tradition. We had some books, but Narottama Das Thakur didn't leave many scriptures. He mostly left songs, prarthana. It's lots of songs. And to this day, people in Bengal, they're still singing these songs. They might not be devotees, but they know Narottama Das Thakur's songs, and they're chanting. Maybe they don't realize immediately what is the meaning of his songs, but they get a connection. They're getting some sukriti from glorifying Narottama Das Thakur. That's one of the very, very achievement of Narottama Das Thakur. He left all these songs. And of course, one of the most glorious thing he did was the very first Gaur Punim. He established the Gaur Punim festival. After Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed from this world, at least he unmanifested his Sankirtan physically, nothing was done. But he received this instruction in his heart to establish a festival for glorifying Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance there. And it was such a glorious festival. Like you can see, he gathered with Srinivas. Srinivas was the planner. It was like very, he knew the devotees and everything. And Narottama Das Thakur, he would organize, get the deities, get all the structures down. He would invite Janava-devi, who was still here, the wife of Nityananda Prabhu, who would cook personally and serve the devotees. Narottama would chant. He was developing new tunes, new songs for this Gaur Punim. And it was such a transcendental festival that they felt that Lord Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were there in person. And that's from that day on we celebrate Gaur Punim, which is going to happen in a month's time. This is all thanks to Narottama Das Thakur. So Narottama Das Thakur is not just like someone who writes songs. He's really an acharya in our line of disciplic succession. We should not undermine all his achievement. Not saying that you are doing, but I was doing before. I was like, oh, Narottama Das Thakur. I didn't even know that, Guru Puja was written by him, when we sing Shri Guru Charana Padma. So it's Narottama Das Thakur. So all this, when I came to know, it became all the more glorious into my eyes. And now I just have like full admiration for his devotees. I just want to follow in his footsteps, but no. We can just do baby steps, maybe. But at least we can try to glorify him a little by what we can do, by singing his glory, singing his songs, glorifying his lords and masters, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, singing the holy name and celebrating Gaur Punim. Okay, I will stop here this time. I don't know if we have time for one question or not, but otherwise, yes.
Actually, if we look to Prabhupada, you see that he was always controlling his ecstasy.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is about, it looks that he could not control. He had more ecstasy than Prabhupada, or how it is?
I don't think we can compare the ecstasies, but we can say that the audience was different. You know, Prabhupada, he would try to control his ecstasy because he was amongst mostly neophyte devotees. You know, sometimes he couldn't control. He would say, like, you would see that Prabhupada would stop for several minutes sometimes, or sometimes he would shed tears, or sometimes he would just apologize. But he was having those ecstasies, Srila Prabhupada, but he was trying to not show them openly, because he was amongst new devotees, and it's not always proper to display, our own bhavas or rasas, like feelings, if the audience is not adequate. If I am, let's say, in Vatsalya rasa, parental mood, and whenever I hear of the stories of Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, how they are taking care of little Gopal, and I start crying, it makes me into a full feeling, and others are not into this feeling. They will just look at me like, what's happening? It's a madman, he's just crying, what's happening? Is he faking it? Because this was something also, something that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Srila Prabhupada were going on a war against, were the Sahajiyas. All those people that were faking having transcendental emotions, like they would cry, roll on the ground, and just like, oh Krishna, Krishna, touch the feet of everyone, cry like this, the end of the world, and do anything. And then when they finished, what they would do, they would smoke. They would go and see other ladies, mingle with them, say that, oh, I'm Krishna, let's do Rasa Lila dance. Those Gora Nagaris. So Prabhupada was very cautious about that. Even like chanting certain mantras, invented mantras. He wouldn't like when people would hear some mantras in Bengal when they were in Mayapur and try to bring them to the temple. He would say, no, this is not bona fide, don't chant that. So Prabhupada was very cautious about that. But Narottama Das Thakur, he was in a different setting. He was always surrounded by devotees. And these feelings of ecstasy would actually increase the faith of the devotees around him. So it had a different purpose. Sure, Narottama could have contained, and Prabhupada could have fully shown his ecstasies, but they were in two different contexts. Usually you can show your feelings with people that are sharing the same mood, and that they would understand. Otherwise it would be just, feels disconnected, it feels off, it feels fake. Imagine all those new boys, American boys and girls, they're just like seeing Prabhupada crying or rolling in the ground, what the kirtan would look like. They would be all like, faking and doing that. And you come from outside and you see that whole bunch of people rolling in the ground. What is happening, What are they taking? They're still taking LSD or what? It's even worse than LSD. So there's always time, place, and circumstances in Krishna consciousness. It's something that we always take into account. Krishna gave us this intelligence, how to apply this knowledge, who to give this knowledge. We cannot speak openly about bhava rasas to newcomers, for instance, because they will not understand. It's completely out of their level. It's the same as preaching the glories of the holy names to faithless person. We preach the holy name, but we don't preach the glories of the holy name. It's different thing. So it's the same with showing ecstasy. I wouldn't say Prabhupada had less, more. I'm not qualified to ascertain how much ecstasy there were, but I don't think we can compare. There were both ecstasies happens on transcendental level, and on transcendental level it's absolute. So you cannot compare. There is no relativity. You cannot say, oh, Lord Chaitanya, he was feeling more ecstasy than Lord Nityananda. No, they're all on absolute level. And it's the same for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Narottama Das Thakur, the Goswamis, Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. It's all transcendental feelings. So we cannot quantify. Often, Janananda Maharaj quotes this, that we can measure is Maya. It's coming from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. We cannot measure how much ecstasy Srila Prabhupada had and how much ecstasy Narottama Das Thakur had. So if we cannot measure, we cannot compare. Hare Krishna. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki
Jai.
Shri Narottama Das Thakur ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Thakur.
Hari Bol.